Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 1964 Jaguar lightweight E-Type. Now only 12 of these were built between 1963 and 1964, with another 6 that were planned to be built eventually being built in 2014 to the original specifications. And yeah, it's pretty much just a sports car slash racing car version of the E-Type, which in its stock form was pretty much just a GT car, wasn't really meant to be raced. And yeah, this had a bit of success in terms of racing. It won the 1963 Australian GT Championship, and yeah, it's had vast improvements over the standard E-Type. It's got more power, more torque, despite having the same engine, a significant amount of less weight. And yeah, it's been stripped out. It's got wider tyres, front and rear, lower suspension. It's got new aerodynamics. It's got rid of the chrome bumpers up front and the rear. And yeah, I just really like the fact that this is on the game. It's not a car I knew of, and yeah, I'm glad it's on here because I always like new introductions to a Forza series, especially when there are a classic like this that looks great, drives really well, and yeah, is a vast improvement over a standard car that I also already like. It's also significantly faster than the Eagle Speedster as well, which again is a more powerful recreation of an E-Type, though this obviously is based on the standard S1 E-Type rather than the Eagle Speedster, which is pretty much a new car, just a classic reimagining of a new car, or a new imagining of a classic car, should I say. And yeah, you can see from the interior alone that this car has been pretty much stripped out. Got no carpets, it's got a roll cage in there, the seats are a lot thinner than normal, and yeah, very little in the way of creature comforts. And yeah, from the back you can see it's quite changed. It's got those, I don't know what they are, I imagine it's something to do with aerodynamics or cooling, but the fuel filler caps also moved to the rear, making it easier to fuel up in pit stops. And yeah, you've got a exhaust extinguisher there, you got your fuel, and yeah, clearly no room for any luggage like the original E-Type did. But the significant change under here is obviously the engine, which has been increased to 340 horsepower and 314 pounds-feet of torque from the same 3.8 litre inline 6 engine. Now that is 75 horsepower more than the standard E-Type, and 54 extra pounds-feet of torque more, so a significant increase in power. And when you couple to the fact that this only weighs 2,292 pounds, which is 608 pounds less than the standard E-Type, you've got, yeah, quite a significantly changed car with such a drastic reduction in weight while a drastic increase in horsepower and torque. So yeah, nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see what it can do. So yeah, this really doesn't feel like a car from 1964, to be honest. It feels a lot more modern than it actually should do for a car from the early 60s. And yeah, the fact that it's quicker to drive than the Eagle Speedster, which, yes, it's a reimagining of a classic car, but it's still a car that is built to a somewhat modern standards, and yet this has more power and a bit less weight. And it's therefore quicker to 60, quicker to 100, and got a higher top speed, and it's infinitely quicker and better to drive than the standard E-Type as well, as this can do 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds, 0 to 109.9 seconds, and going to a top speed of 174 miles an hour. Now that is more than 3.2 seconds quicker than the standard E-Type to 60. It's a nearly 9 seconds quicker to, well, it's actually more than 9 seconds quicker to 100, and yeah, the standard E-Type could only do 145 miles an hour. It's also 0.7 a second quicker to 60 and to 100 than the Eagle Speedster, and can do 5 mile more at the top end. So yeah, just a superbly quick car, and handles really rather well as well, thanks to the fact it's got 50-50 weight distribution, and the fact obviously it weighs less than 2,300 pounds, and those wider tyres and lower suspension, and obviously stiffer chassis with that roll cage helps improve it massively. Quite frankly, it makes the old car, well, the standard car, look awful, to be honest. I mean, it's not an awful car to drive, but compared to this, it's, yeah, you wouldn't think there was only a 3-year difference in age between the two. And yeah, I love it. Granted, it is an expensive car to buy on this game. You need a cool 10 million credits, but it's entirely worth it as far as I'm concerned because it handles really rather well. It's fun, it's quick, it sounds good, it looks good. Even though I don't like those raised parts with the holes on the roof and on the boot lid, I still prefer the look of it to the standard E-Type because it doesn't have that ghastly sloped rear roof. Granted, this wouldn't look as good as the convertible version, but it's still better than the standard hardtop, and yeah, significantly quicker as well. So even if it didn't look as good, it drives better and is quicker, which would certainly make up for it. Oh, get out of the way, Ford. So yeah, it does cost 10 million credits, which is a lot of money on this game. Granted, you could buy a castle for that, but if you can find it cheap on the auction house, because I found it for I think under 2 million credits, it's more than worth it. And yeah, you won't regret it whatsoever in terms of getting it, because yeah, it's a classic car in terms of how it looks, but it's not a classic car in terms of how it handles and how it drives. Easily being able to outperform other cars from, you know, this year or the year before that have the same kind of power, because, you know, this is obviously going to be so much lighter than them, but also have plenty of power to go with it. And yeah, really glad that they put this on the game. Like I said, it's not one I knew of before this game was released, but again, that's why I like these Forza games. They do bring about cars that you not necessarily have heard of, and then you end up falling in love with them, and I have fallen in love with this car. Easily one of my favourites, just like that Bentley 4.5 litre supercharged from the previous episode. And yeah, like that, it's expensive, but it's more than worth the money. And yeah, I hope it's also going to be on the next Forza Motorsport game, because like I said, this was a racing car back in its day, and it more than deserves a track to go around. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.